3, 2, 1. Welcome.
We're going to talk about flying saucers. We're going to talk about them from the standpoint of reporters, not as comedians, not as sensationalists. A large number of perfectly sane and reliable people have been involved in this flying saucer business. Even those of us who have never seen one have become involved. We read about them, talk about them, wonder about these reports of strange phenomena in the skies. We have been collecting material on flying saucer observations for many months, checking, cross-checking, trying to track down leads, no matter how far afield they took us. We are going to bring you the facts at hand. What they add up to, well, that's for you to decide. That's up to you.
So when I think of saucer, when I think of your company, I don't just think of like apparel. I think of a whole kind of broader thing of like learning and bringing into popular culture this idea of the mystery of the unknown that the flying saucer represents. My name is Jeremy Kenyon Lockyer Corbell. My friends and enemies, they call me Forename. Right? I'm known for my films like Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers. So I got films on Netflix and Hulu, but also I'm an investigative filmmaker and journalist. And I work with a man named George Knapp. And we have been, ringing the UFO bell recently by doing releases by the United States military of verified, unidentified flying objects. Nick, David, Faye, it's so good to see you all together. You're saucer.
Yes.
Elevate your craft. That's what you say, right?
Right. That's our slogan.
Okay, cool. So I want to hear today a little bit about you and what it is that you've started, why you started, what motivates you. Just to be abundantly clear to people, I received no profits, no royalties. I'm not connected to your company in any way. I just think it is badass. It's a great company. And I think it's cool what you guys are doing. And I love the way you approached me. So I just want to be really clear with everybody because people always have conspiracy theories about me. I have nothing to do with your company other than I met you. I like what you're doing. And I like you're trying to elevate your craft. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. So with that said, let's jump in. I want to hear a little bit about each of you and about your company. But first thing, I just want to hear maybe each of you individually, but David, to begin, what is this slogan? Elevate your craft, saucer. It's really, I love it. How'd you come up with that?
So when we created the saucer logo, immediately we were thinking, we have to come up with a slogan. And then in our personal lives, we're always about, trying to be better every single day. We call it our crafts, right? So when we're looking at the saucer logo, Nick was thinking, elevate yourself. And then, we came together and we started thinking about elevate your craft. So, we like to think about, you're the pilot of your own craft. You can determine, where you're going to go at any speed, any direction. So that's how we came up with the slogan. It's just all about, taking yourself to the next level, trying to be better every single day. So at the same time, elevate your craft means, be better. And at the same time, we tied it in with the way the logo looks. It's a spacecraft, it's a flying saucer that elevates. So that's really how, we tried to tie in the slogan as a double meaning. So not only when you're wearing the saucer logo, it represents a flying saucer, but also can represent elevate your craft. So we like to say, you're your own craft.
You're your own craft. Yeah. And I love it, man, because, you're wearing these shirts and you've got an image, Nick, on you that's really interesting. We're going to talk about that. But the other two, you, Faye and David, you got the saucer on there. And I can't help but recognize, I was watching the Joe Rogan podcast at one point, and he's got the saucer on his chest. How cool is that? I mean, it's a cool shirt.
We didn't even know that he was going to be wearing it. A lot of people sometimes come up to us and ask us hey, did you guys know he was going to wear it? We had no idea. We just happened to see the photos online and, he was wearing it because he wanted to wear it. And, obviously, Joe's been a big supporter of the UFO topic. He's, had some of the biggest names on the planet there on his show talking about, the phenomenon. So that's been really great for everyone.
So can you just tell me real quick a little bit about the logo itself, like that saucer? Was there a way that you picked that or?
Yeah, so the concept for the logo kind of just came naturally. So in June of 2017, which was actually 6 months before the groundbreaking New York Times article, I was in bed, half asleep. It was probably 1 or 2 a.m. And I was just thinking about the things that fascinated me. And so I had a couple of names and, I wrote them down before I went to sleep. And when I woke up the next morning, the name that stuck out to me the most was Saucer. And so within those same couple of days, David and I came up with the logo for the name Saucer. And, it took a couple of days because there was a certain curvature that we weren't getting right. But eventually we created the logo that you see now.
Yeah, and actually the logo just sat for about 5 months. We didn't have any intentions to really do anything with it or even put it on apparel. We had a logo and a name there, and all of a sudden we just started thinking to ourselves like, hey, maybe we should put on some hats and some jackets just for us to wear, for whenever, we go out. And, that's really when it started as far as us putting it on certain things like products, and then we just went from there.
So you guys are brothers, is that correct?
That's right.
Faye, how do you know these guys? What's your relationship to these guys?
Well, I've known David for about 15 years, and we recently just got married. So David's my husband, and Nick's my brother-in-law. And the three of us run everything at Saucer.
That's so cool. So this is a family. So Saucer is a family business. Is that correct?
That's right.
Yes.
And I remember meeting your dad one time too. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so you met my dad, and, he's always been really enthusiastic about what we're doing. And, when we first created the Saucer logo and started working on some of our products, my parents actually didn't know what we were doing up until a few months before one of our first events. We told them, look, this is what we're planning to do. And, at first our parents were kind of shocked because, we went through school. Faye and I already got our degrees and Nick's got 1 year left. But when you go to school, your parents immediately think, okay, my kid's going to, go out in the workforce, go work at some company, not start their own company right off the bat, especially, creating your own clothing brand or anything like that. So it was kind of a shock, but, they were fully supportive and were willing to, dive in with us to go to the events. And, we're grateful for that because it's all the little things that they help us do, outside that really allow us to keep moving forward and build Saucer to what it is now.
So Saucer is a clothing company at its core, but it's more than that. I've noticed that you really spend time on social media creating educational video pieces, like the little documentaries that you make on social media. You've been very effective with that. You've gotten the attention of a lot of great people, who are enjoy learning from the historic days and time that you've created. So I want to talk about your clothing, but I also want you to explain, you have memorabilia, you have this sort of thing. I just noticed that you're educating people about the UFO culture by going into history and saying, on this day 40 years ago, on this day 60 years ago. And you've been highly effective as a marketing strategy, but also just as an educational platform. So when I think of Saucer, when I think of your company, I don't just think of like apparel. I think of a whole kind of broader thing of like learning and bringing into popular culture this idea of the mystery of the unknown that the flying saucer represents. So I want you to tell me, so maybe what you can tell me is, what are the components of your business? What is the model of your business that you're playing off of, you're trying to build? And what are each of your roles in the business?
Yeah, so you're definitely right in the sense of us wanting, everyone to know Saucer as more than just apparel, more than just, the products that we release through our collectibles, and obviously through the bringing out educational videos. So, when you say, when you think of Saucer, you think of not only the apparel, but the videos. That's exactly what we're trying to create in the sense of, when we bring out our products, our apparel, our collectibles, through our apparel, we want people to feel like they can express themselves or wear something fashionable by, wearing a Saucer logo or wearing something like this tie-dye t-shirt or this Roswell shirt here. And through our collectibles, it's, we try to bring out, the signed posters and, the collectible trading cards that we just recently released. And through our video content, we just try to really, educate everyone about the history of the, whether it's an incident or a case that happened. We just really try to bring back the history and provide our own spin on it by creating, certain animations. And what I do is I work on the production side. So I work on making the products as far as all the t-shirts, the hoodies, and Faye also helps me along with that. She also does, photo editing and does a lot of the photography as well. And, we also process and ship out all our orders ourselves. And, also Nick works on a lot of the video content. He's the one, doing a lot of the research, creating, these cool animations that you see us come out with, and also a lot of the sound bites that come along with the videos that we make. And, I'll let Nick touch a little bit more as far as the educational standpoint, as far as our videos and why we do them.
So my primary role with the company is to really put together these educational and informative pieces of content that we release, primarily our videos. So we put together these videos, and anybody who follows us on social media will realize that we release videos on historical incidents regarding the UFO topic. So we do that so that our audience can really feel as though they're reliving that particular incident, that particular moment in history, and really just kind of give them a new perspective on that particular case and make them feel like as if they're experiencing it for themselves.
So for David, I want to know, what is the core of your company? I noticed that your apparel, it's very thoughtful. Like even just like the hoodie strings are really unique. Like the way you package it, it's artful, it's artistry. Can you tell me about the clothing aspect of your business?
Yeah, so for our apparel, it was something that we had created just for us. We had a few, as we mentioned, hats and jackets, and, we never intended it to, start a clothing line or do anything like that, nor, have a website or anything like that. But people kept asking us like, hey, what saucer, where can we buy that? And, this is before we had a social media, before we had our own website or anything like that. And, little by little, as the more people were asking, we decided, shoot, maybe we should come up with, clothing line and see where it goes from there. So, just like anything that we do, anytime we put our minds to something, we're always going to go in 100% and always try to do it the best that we can. So with that in mind, we try to really bring out something fashionable, something of good quality. We didn't want to, bring out, just cheap quality graphics or anything like that. So that goes in line, like what you're saying, with the quality of our products. They feel good, they look good. And as far as our packaging as well, we wanted to make it seem like when you receive something from Saucer, you're having an experience. Like you're saying, the materials and the way it looks from the drawstrings or anything like that. We really wanted it to feel, a certain way from when people receive our stuff. It's just like, wow.
Just the packaging, it's like this. It looks like the Roswell craft material. It's iridescent. I mean, I'm telling you, when I receive, a product from Saucer, I know you can tell it's hand done. And then every choice, from even just the packaging, it really reminds me of the fine Saucer stuff. And look, I think people need to, they'll see that when you give them a product, but also just your passion for the details. That's what's so cool. You're continuously creating new product lines, but all around the same idea of like elevating your craft. I think that's so important. You are doing that, not just saying that. So I'm curious right now, is this your full-time job yet? We're hoping one day it will be, but I'm sure you guys have other jobs that you do, right? But this is growing, or is this full-time?
This is full-time for the three of us.
Wow. Well, how cool. Yeah. So when somebody buys a hoodie or a t-shirt, they know that you've personally handled it, that you've shipped it out, that you've put kind of that personal care into it, but also they know that they are literally supporting your life in that this goes directly to you. This is what you do 100% of the time. Like if we want more Saucer in our life, we have to support it by getting a t-shirt or something, right?
Right. Yeah.
I think that's important. People always maybe they don't understand that if you make that commitment, you make that leap to this dream, of your own business, that we have to, as consumers, we need to support that if we like it, because that's how you're going to keep going, right?
Yeah, we could have very easily gotten a job somewhere else, due to us having our degrees, but we're just extremely passionate about what we do at Saucer, whether it's creating our new collections or, working on our newest videos and even fulfilling our orders, and sometimes it can be challenging at times with, doing all those things and balancing all that out. But we're just, we just look forward to doing that every day. And, people can support us by buying our products. And, we're just super grateful for the tremendous amount of support that we've had from people all over the world. And of course, you being one of them, we're really grateful for all that.
I think people need to understand that in order to really be passionate about something and put energy and effort and money and time, that if people like something, they need to support it. They have to invest in it too. You're giving of yourselves, and people, if they just like buy a t-shirt, it gives back to you. I'm not just trying to sell your t-shirts here by saying that. I mean, I love them, but I'm trying to inform people that the process you're undertaking, which is following this dream and this desire and this idea, it's beautiful and it's well done, and you're doing that. But the only way that you'll keep doing that is if the audience that you're, presenting to is supporting it, with their passion and their purchase. I mean, that's the truth, It is the truth. Let me ask you real quick about the tie-dye you're wearing, Faye. So what's the process for you? I've never, had my own clothing, company, but how do you get that tie-dyed?
It's actually about a 2-day process for us to do the tie-dyes. So every tie-dye is handmade by us, which is why every tie-dye is unique.
Oh, cool. I mean, look, but what you're telling me is you guys actually personally hand tie-dye all the shirts you're doing?
Yes.
That's so cool. It's so cool. Do all three of you, do you get some sort of a, joy out of working for yourselves, for creating this company, for making your new product lines, your memorabilia lines? I mean, obviously you're interested in the UFO subject, but is it a joyful, I know it's got to be hard. I mean, you're working hard, right? But is there something, why do you do it? Why do you do this?
We do it because we love to provide a fashionable way for people to express themselves. Whether it's something as simple as the classic Saucer logo, or even something as intricate as this iconic image of Major Jesse Marcel, which we officially licensed and brought back to life in color. Even when we do our videos, we just love to really dive deep and do the research that it takes to bring something really educational and informative. And we really enjoy just learning about the history of ufology.
I can never forget that first time that we saw somebody wearing one of our hoodies. We were on our way home and we saw somebody crossing the street. And, we can never forget that moment. It was just that moment of like, wow, we created this and, somebody's wearing it. We would have never thought of, even doing a UFO conference or anything like that. We had just created the logo. It was just something for us. And, we'll start off as a logo. We went into apparel. Now we've brought out the collectibles. We're doing collaborations with some of the biggest names in ufology. And, we have, various projects that are currently being worked on. And, we just have a tremendous amount of support from people all around the world. And, we would have never thought that we would have created Saucer to be this company or, be where it's at now. So with all that being said, we're just going to continue to keep growing and keep doing what we're doing because we genuinely love it. And, that's why we do it. We do it to, provide fashion for everyone who, wants to wear our products. And also with our videos, we just really love educating and informing people about the history. Like Nick said, it's just, whether it's our animations and, our apparel, we have articles that we do. And it's just our memorabilia. We love, having people, providing them with collectibles, something that this community overall has never seen. We just love creating things that have never been done before or have never been shown in the way that we're doing it now. So that's why we do it.
So here's the question. I think this is something that everybody will want to know. And I want to ask you two parts to this question. One is, have any of you ever seen a UFO? And then the question is, when did this fascination start for you?
We try to look up as much as possible, but on any given night, if you just look up, you'll definitely see something. And, one of the most profound sightings that we've had was actually a little over a year ago. It was right over the San Gabriel Mountains. And it happened to be that, at first we see like a white light going from left to right slowly, and then all of a sudden it disappears, and all of a sudden another one starts like following it, like they're in a line, in a formation, and then that one disappears. So it was kind of strange because it kind of seemed like it was, going through a wormhole, or if it was like a portal or something like that. So, the duration of it was about a 30 seconds to about a minute. So my mom was nearby, so we called her, hey, like, come take a look at this so she can see it for herself. And, she started asking, like, hey, what is that? And we're like, we have no idea what that is, but there's multiple crafts or whatever it was, so maybe about 6 or 7 of them going from left to right. Like, you'd see one, and then like it'd move slowly and then disappear. And then all of a sudden another one start, like if they're all taking turns in doing, whatever they were doing. So to us, that's kind of, one of the most craziest sightings we've had.
And you said something earlier I think is important. You said, look, I think if you just look up, you're going to notice something. Can you explain that a little bit?
Anytime that we've looked up, we've always had, a sighting no matter what, no matter if it was, any time of the week. There's obviously for us, there's been like specific time frames that we've noticed, but, some days will be better than others. But no matter what, we're just always looking, and, it's not always going to happen right away. You have to be sometimes patient. You might have to wait half an hour, or whatever it may be. And, there's kind of like this saying out there that some people think that these objects may only show themselves to certain individuals. I'm not too sure if that's true, but for us, speaking on our previous experiences, we just always look up and, we see something no matter what. So we just feel like we think that anyone can, see something. If they haven't, they just need to be patient. So,
I want to get into kind of like where this kind of interest came from. Like when you were younger, did you have interest in this? But before we answer that question, what a wild time to have a UFO apparel company when the world is turned upside down. You cannot turn on the television. You cannot turn on the news. I mean, UFOs are buzzing the world right now. I mean, what a cool moment for you to have this company. Do you see an impact that in the sense of like, has this impacted your business that the world is going crazy about UFOs now?
Definitely. We've seen a lot more acceptance with the UFO topic, due to the fact that it is in the mainstream media. People are talking about it. It's a much more open conversation now. And we've definitely noticed that people are a lot more comfortable with wearing something like a flying saucer t-shirt. We've even had close relatives come to us and, share their experiences with us, share their UFO stories. And, these are people that we've known our whole lives that we never would have even suspected had, an experience with UFOs or something like that. And, we've really seen this topic open itself up, in a much more global perspective. And it's definitely allowed for us to have much more sales around the world.
What countries have you sold to? Your products, apparel, your memorabilia?
Oh, we've sold pretty much everywhere, in all 50 states in the United States, pretty much on all 7 continents. We have, for sure, Canada, Australia, the United Kingdom, Mexico, Colombia, Singapore, Ireland, Norway. It's kind of hard to keep track of all of them, but definitely a lot of countries all around the world. And that's been something that we've been so excited about because, something that we've created just goes, on different parts of the world, which has been pretty interesting. Hopefully we'll be on a different planet sooner than later.
From the perspective of, the average fan of this topic, it's like this unknown, but it's this iconic image of the saucer, and anybody, anywhere in the world, everybody knows this image, this icon, this idea of the flying saucer, right?
Right.
So how did this start for you? Was this something when you were kids? Where did this come from, this interest for you?
Honestly, it just really started, back like in the early 2000s when, there used to be all these UFO shows that would be, either on late at night or like early on the weekends, like on a Sunday morning. And, we'd have to watch them on time because, back then there wasn't, recording or anything like that available. So we would have to watch it on the spot. This is before, kind of all those mainstream shows that are out now that have been around. This is like, I can't remember the name of the shows, but I remember just always being fascinated with wanting to watch a show about UFOs or anything like that. And then, recently I remembered something about when I was about 5 or 6 years old. I'm not sure if you're familiar with, let's say like a flower pot, and it kind of has like something underneath, like a base, or you would call it, I guess, a saucer base. Anyway, that's what I remember grabbing at the time. It was in my backyard, and for some reason I started throwing it around, and my dad had the garage open at the time, and I remember seeing a pile of spray cans, and the one that interested me the most was the silver color. So I ended up spraying it in silver, and I ended up tossing it around like if it was a flying saucer. So for me, that's one of my, one of the earliest moments for me that I feel like I maybe had somewhat of a fascination with the phenomenon without really even knowing too much about it. Again, I was 5 or 6 years old. I have no idea where I got that concept or that idea. I just know that that was something that I was gravitated to at the time. And then for Nick, he has a story about when he was about maybe 6 or 7 years old, and we were out in Venice Beach. And for those of you who aren't familiar, that's a beach out here in Los Angeles. And we were just, it was like on a weekend, and for some reason, somebody had their like 2 little alien mannequin dolls sitting together like on a bench. And Nick, I remember he immediately, went to them and wanted to take a photo with them. So then that's when, he asked, and he took photos.
Yeah, so that must have been, about 2007. And the interesting thing is, I asked my dad about it, and, he wasn't too sure why I wanted to take the pictures with the aliens, but I just know that there were beings that were different from us. So I guess that's what fascinated me at the time, and here we are now.
Let me ask you a couple of kind of serious questions about this. So have you ever seen the speech that President Ronald Reagan did to the UN, where he talked about what would bring humanity together better than knowing that we have a place in the universe where we're defending ourselves against a common alien threat?
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
So my question to you on a real kind of deeper level, like, we're living in a world that is divided, and we are, and historically have been divided by our differences rather than seeing what unites us by our commonalities. This is a problem with race and gender and socioeconomics and all sorts of different ways that we create these false identified separations. But ultimately, we are more alike than we are different as being human beings. Do you feel that through the concept of maybe there are other people from other star systems, maybe there are UFOs, maybe there are what we call aliens, which just probably means people from other places, right? Do you think that this idea is bigger than just how some people see it, and that maybe it is something that could really unite and bond people on planet Earth?
Definitely, we feel like in many ways that it already has united us. And the fact that due to the phenomenon being more mainstream and more widespread now across the world, we feel like more and more people are coming together and really asking questions as to, what's really going on, who is piloting these objects, who is behind all these UFOs, if there's anyone here on Earth involved with them, or, are they from another civilization or, another intelligence. I really feel like due to the fact that all these recent videos that you've released, along with George Knapp, really made people all around the world ask a lot of questions, and everyone's kind of really come together and really try to figure out like what's going on here. And more than likely, there's a bunch of other nations that have something like a UAP task force, and, everyone's just really trying to figure this out. So ultimately, if we all were to find out that there is another intelligence here or other civilizations coming here on Earth to visit us, yes, I do feel like we would all come together and really, like you mentioned, we are more alike than we are different, because, we'll probably realize that, hey, we're not the smartest ones out there. They're obviously coming here from somewhere else to visit us, and we can't go visit them. So definitely, I feel like it would unite us. And as I said already, I think it's starting to go in that direction. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out in the near future.
So actually for Faye, I got a specific question is, when you wear this shirt with the saucer on it, do people stop you? Do they ask about it? Do they talk with you because you're wearing the saucer, like Superwoman on your chest? Do they stop you and talk to you? I hear a story, Faye. You were at the pharmacy the other day and somebody sees your logo saucer. What happened?
Yeah, so this guy asked me about my shirt because of what's been happening recently about UFOs. So then I asked him, like, what do you think about it? And then he said, oh, I think it's pretty cool. And I guess we'll see what happens next.
Yeah, but it shows you that just, just the apparel that you have, that you walk with out in the world, that this iconic image that you've created, that is part of our consciousness, our collective consciousness, the saucer. But you wear it on your chest and it's like a beacon. Like people, I've noticed that when I wear your clothing, people will stop me and they'll say, hey, do you believe in UFOs? And I always go, UFOs are not a matter of belief. If it's a matter of belief for you, haven't been paying attention. And I just making jokes at them, but it's true. It's true. So I found it really cool when I wear, one of your pieces of apparel, that it starts conversations, Yeah,
definitely. The logo is something that we've been told before that it's been a conversation starter for many people. And, for us, we not only feel that the Saucer logo is only a conversation starter, but it transcends languages all around the world, cultures. No matter where you're from, you immediately know what the Saucer logo represents, a flying saucer. And, I remember there was a few months ago when we were out in Arizona with Travis Walton. We were grabbing a quick bite to eat and we were leaving already. And all of a sudden, I think we were wearing one of our jackets or hoodies, but somebody behind us was saying, hey, look, it's a flying saucer. And, we're like, oh, so we looked back and we went back to them and we started talking to them. It ended up being that they were Apache Native Americans, and they were telling us some of the stories of sightings that they've had out there in the, in the local area for decades. So that was something pretty interesting that we had. So like even things like that, it's just something that people gravitate towards. There's another instance that somebody was talking about our logo in a different language. And, we knew what they were talking about because they said the word platillo, which is in Spanish. So, things like that, we realized, the phenomenon is much bigger all around the world, not just, here in the United States or anywhere. It's, a global phenomenon. And with this logo, like you're saying, people immediately gravitate towards it and they know exactly what it is.
They always want to know more.
Yeah.
And so I think now more than ever, because of what you've released, there's definitely more of a fascination everywhere.
From the Navy videos I released with George Knapp?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. That's definitely rung the bell. People are paying attention to the UFO topic, which I'm very happy about. To be able to contribute to the kind of conversation. From my point of view, we need to be having a conversation about this. That's why I love that you're creating this iconic logo that, you put it on and it starts the conversation. And you'll know immediately who's willing to have that conversation or not, because people are fervent. They're excited about UFOs. They see that on your chest and bam, they just start talking to you. And you learn so much about people by their beliefs and understanding and curiosity, about UFOs. So like a call and response, if I were to say to you, weaponize your curiosity, what would you say back? Ready? Weaponize your curiosity.
Elevate your craft.
Oh, okay. Good. All right. So I feel like we got something there. I feel like those are two genuine ideas. From my perspective, I want people to be curious. I want them to become active participants in understanding the mystery, to investigate the unexplained, not to explain the uninvestigated. That's something that George Knapp says, that George Knapp taught me. And you're telling people, elevate your craft, whatever that craft is. For you, it was apparel, it's the education process, it's the memorabilia. But I don't think you're stopping there. I really appreciate all of you. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate your business. I appreciate the way you approach your business. There's this saying, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So they say the devil's in the details, right? When you apply yourself with your passion and your skills, and you bring something to the public that's greater than just a piece of clothing, but it's a symbol. It's something that people can, converse about. You open dialogue. It's something that is artful and it's beautiful and it's aesthetically pleasing. I really think you've done that. I think that you've decided to do something. You didn't take no for an answer. You took a risk, and you will continue to do so. So I just want to kind of finalize this. I want to support you. How can other people support you? What can we do as an audience of people you're talking with, and you're educating us and you're giving us these cool things? Very simply, what can we do to support you, and where can we find you?
Yeah, so people can continue to support us by buying our products. Everything from apparel to collectibles, even all our articles and videos that we make and that we put out are all on our site, which is saucerco.com. And also, one thing we want to note is that for us, it's never, been about just trying to sell t-shirts or, any apparel that we have or anything that we come out with. Because, when we initially started, like we said before, it was just something for us that we had created just for us to wear around. And, more and more people started wanting what we had. So, that's when we created Saucer. And, we would have never thought or expected to be where we are today. And, that's something really that we want people to know about us, is that we started off with apparel. Now we're doing videos. And, the reason why we're doing all our videos is because we really love educating and informing people about the various cases and the history that's gone on with UFOs and ufology in general. And also, we really want to be there and help and educate the next coming generation who just might be barely getting into the topic for the first time. They might be barely learning about certain incidents, like, for example, maybe Roswell. So we just really try to, fill that in with, a new modern way of, through our animations or however we put things together. And we've had a tremendous amount of support from people. So we're just going to continue to keep doing what we're doing. And we're just really excited because, we're super excited to make, the next leap and make things and do things that have never been done before. So we're just barely getting started. And so people just can support us by going to our site. Everything's on there, saucerco.com.
So people can go and purchase your products. We know that you make them by hand and you're going to deliver them by hand, and they can expect something really neat from it. And also maybe sharing their stories with you. If somebody's wearing one of your pieces of clothing, they can find you across all social media. I would encourage people, if they're wearing a Saucer Coke, if they're wearing a Saucer, logo, that they tell you if somebody comes up and tells them a cool story or this sort of thing. I know you like to interact on social media. It's pretty neat. So I'm going to encourage your audience to reach out and tell you their stories of when they wear your clothing, what happens, what conversations happen. I think it's important, for people to know that this is a conscious choice. I mean, I'll put it this way. I know all of you are educated. I know that you've had a lot of options. You could have jumped into the workforce, as they say, and just worked for somebody else, but you made a conscious choice to build your own empire, to build your own brand, to get a message out. And that comes from passion. So I know that all of you are, you went to school, you had lots of options, that you chose to do something different. And I appreciate you for that in and of itself, that you're wanting to contribute something, not just be a consumer of information. You want to be a contributor. And you certainly have done so. I have learned a lot from the videos that you have put out. And I have had a lot of conversations that I wouldn't have had if I hadn't been wearing Saucer clothing. So again, I get nothing from your company. This is not an endorsement or any kind where I'm getting anything. I truly am telling you that it has been a pleasure to get to know all of you, to see the way you operate. and how you approach the art of life. So thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. And I do believe that you're uplifting and elevating your own craft, but also those of other people. Again, I've learned a lot from watching your videos and what you do. So I just want to say thank you. It's been a pleasure talking with you. I hope that the audience has learned a little bit more about you now from doing this interview, so they can understand that when they support Saucer as a company, they're actually supporting your efforts as human beings. And I think that's really cool.
Thank you for, doing this with us. It's been a while that we've been wanting people to hear our story, and, now it's here. And, we also want to thank you for doing everything that you do. You've definitely inspired us as well in many ways. And also, we want to thank everyone again who's supported us, and thank you guys for watching this.
Yeah, so I think that we've covered kind of the origin story of Saucer. I hope we covered the origin story of Saucer. You guys have inspired me. You've elevated your craft. You've allowed people to access a part of themselves that maybe they were keeping hidden. They had conversations. I hope that you continue to do what you've set out to do, and that you explore uncharted territories within the UFO world, because you do truly uplift it. And I want to thank you for what you've done. Spread this far and wide. And I want to make sure that everybody understands who Saucer is, because it's a family business. What's the next big thing for Saucer? I'm going to do to you what everybody does to me. Just give me a hint. Just a hint. Give me a hint.
We can't talk about it yet.
Is it classified?
Yeah, it's going to be one of the biggest things we've done so far.